And we're live. And I'm just waiting to close.
No worries. Hello, world.
Okay, we're ready. So hello, everyone. Today we're going to continue our work on the Forks button migration. And today we're going to have a look at writing the specs for the new Vue component while we wait for the feature specs that we worked on last week to get merged so that we can test all of the things together and make sure that we have no regression. So let's share my screen. You can see my screen, right?
Can indeed.
Okay, perfect. So let's see. We have to write some brand new Vue specs for that component, which is, I don't remember the path. It's this one. We have the component. I am. Should we also test for the init forks button? I don't think so. We should only test the button itself, the component.
Yeah. I think that the feature spec will maybe be the one that checks that the button gets mounted, if that makes sense, which kind of tests the init forks button.
Yes. By the way, I'm just thinking about this. How would we, should we also make sure that on the feature specs that the new Vue button is getting mounted instead of the old one? Oh, well,
I think if you were doing it behind a feature flag, we might want some way of checking that we're mounting the right one. But the fact that you're going to get rid of you have got rid of the old button, I don't think I'd worry.
Yeah, as soon as I asked that, I realized it would be totally not useful. So the specs inside spec front end. Yeah, so we have to create a forks folder in here. Forks, components, forks.
I'm going to try it, but maybe you want to try it on camera as well. I'm really interested. I believe we have a nice AI feature to write specs, but I'm not quite sure how it does or doesn't.
You're right. So I think you're.
Oh, you know better than me. Then go on, show me how it's done.
Suggest test cases.
It might say, or if there's not already a test file, it might be better at like adding test cases to an existing spec. I've not tried it before, so I'm excited to see what. Hopefully, it doesn't time out. It's experimental, right? Oh wow!
Let's see.
Oh wow! That looks really promising.
Oh boy. Okay, so it did shallow mount.
So we don't rapid destroy anymore. So let's bin that bit off. I'm that confident that I'm going to start hacking this rather than sort of saying, "Oh no, it's rubbish. We're going to start from scratch." So shallow mount and the button, yeah.
It renders the correct number of forks. That's perfect. Disables the fork button if the user does not have access. enables if user has access, displays the correct tooltip for the fork button, displays the correct tooltip. When you, I'm pretty amazed right now.
My mind is blown. This is awesome. Well, let's run it for a start. And
let's fix this.
Yeah.
So to be true, to be false. This is if, I mean.
Yeah, I don't want to get carried away, but my mind is.
You know, I hate writing specs. So if this works, it's going to change my life.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, just.
I thought for a minute then you had AI in your console as well.
No. Good.
Okay, they'll fail, but I'm sure it's something obvious.
I think.
So it's not finding.
Yes, so let's have a look. And also, this is something that I'm not sure is really good. So using the wrapper directly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we want to create a method. So what's in before each should be in a method, and we should be able to pass it props. But that's cool. That's cool. You know.
Yeah. Let's see why this is not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, maybe I know why. We're missing some. These are not props. These are injected.
Okay. So provide, I guess.
Well, that's trying to do the right thing, but we already have those. No. Find did not return project forks link. Do we have that? No, we don't. We don't have those classes.
It's interesting. So that's the random way it was trying to. So we got to decide: do we want to set a data test ID, or do we want to find the component, or what's your preferred way of?
Test ID and component together, because we have two buttons, so the component type by its own won't be enough. And I'm almost tempted to try and add the data test ID, and while we write the specs, because we have to change them, wait for the MR and to pick up the changes and try to use AI again to see if that works with data test ID.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I don't remember.
I think test ID is one. So yeah, now you've got me questioning myself.
Data test ID, found it.
Yeah, and what I meant was there wasn't a dash between test and ID. Sorry.
So this is the for. Hi, Andrew.
Oh, hi, Andrew.
Perfect. AI kicking in and working. Okay, I'm going to push this one up. it test the buttons.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Hello.
I can, yeah. How you doing?
Oh, could you hear me before?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I was saying I never saw a notification when the stream started.
That's a very good point. Now we're using Zoom, but you should still get the one from YouTube. So yeah, we'll have to look at that.
These don't seem to be going out on YouTube either.
So they go under live, not videos, which again might be the reason that we're not getting the triggers.
Okay. Yeah, oh, right. Because I was trying to show one to Tom the other day and I couldn't find the recording for it.
Yeah,
That would make sense.
It's a YouTube UX UI quirk, let's call it.
We should post a review to them.
Can we have a look at the source code and open up a merge request, maybe?
I don't know if they are that open.
Which is weird, right? Because Google are reasonably good, right, when it comes to open.
With some things, yeah.
Selective openness.
Yeah, selective openness. Okay, so let's have a look at some other specs because I don't remember how to set the wrapper. Which one did I work on recently? I don't remember. I do remember.
Can I just ask, Marco, are you using GraphQL in this new component?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
All right, because yeah.
Feel free to ask a couple of questions while Marco's plugging away. Hopefully we won't distract him too much.
Well, that's why I was asking on Discord. I'm trying to use, so when I saw Marco doing this fork button, I started having a look at the star button.
Yeah, awesome.
Next to it. Replacing that with a view thing that looks the same is super easy.
Yes,
so
the functionality is a little bit more dumb, isn't it, than the forks button? You know, it does a few things. But
it's literally just says star with an icon and then a number. The number's being passed through from Haml, which I'd like to change at some point, but future thing that can be updated. I'm passing through the URL for the button because one half is a link off to somewhere else, and the other half is an action to star and unstar it.
Yep.
And I'm now trying to work out how to hook up that half that does the starring and unstarring.
Yep.
I saw in the handbook it's got the import view Apollo, view use view Apollo, pass through the Apollo provider.
Yep.
But then, yeah, I couldn't see anything on actually using Apollo within the component.
So
I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, one that I can think of, I'm just going to open it up myself quickly. One that I've done, again, not exactly recently, but would be in the contact. So I think contact form wrapper. Just going to have, this might be a little bit more complex because I've abstracted it all. Let me have a look. Yeah, okay. So it's not the best best example in the world. I'm sure I could find better if you need. But in the chat, I've just dropped path to a component, and you can see all it does is it calls this .apollo.mutate. So if you were to look, to be honest, just grep for dot mutate or this dot apollo dot mutate or something along those lines, in view files, you'd find plenty of examples.
So this is the CRM form component.
Yeah, so the reason I said this isn't a brilliant example to show you is because this is a component that I reuse to create contacts, to update contacts, to create organizations and to update organizations. So it's being reused in 4 different ways, and therefore there's a lot of abstractions in there. But hopefully it's just enough to get you on the right path.
Okay, where's this dot Apollo coming from?
So that will be available if you've passed in, when you've sort of initialized the view component, if you've set up Apollo and sort of passed it in.
Okay, that's just magically available.
It should be, yeah.
Okay. How can I test that?
Are you still going all right there, Marco?
Yep, I tweaked the specs and I'm just making sure that one works.
So did you look at the MR to see the new suggestions?
Not yet, because let's see if
I know it takes a couple of minutes, but I feel like you pushed a few minutes ago, maybe.
Yeah, the commit is here, so we can try. Yeah.
With this one, we just scroll through and see if it's changed the way it's doing its dot find. Is that the primary?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it.
I don't know if I'd bother pasting it. I mean, you could do it. So we just need to teach it that set props is not bad and how to create the wrapper.
Yes, how to create the wrapper, how to find the buttons. Well, it's okay to do it like this, but we have the other functions.
The extended wrapper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also these props should not be props, but should be provided.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I'll maybe see if I can find a feedback issue, because I don't know how we can sort of help to train the model like that. And obviously with ChatGPT, you have a conversation, right? Oh, could you do that? Is there a box to respond to the
you mean like going to ChatGPT?
No. At the bottom of where it came up with its suggestion.
Oh. So here?
Yeah. So we've got helpful, unhelpful, and wrong. I'd like a bit more specifically to converse. If it says wrong, could you maybe provide some feedback? I guess that's a no.
I think that was the feedback.
Could you copy the leave feedback link and pop it in the chat for me, please, Marco?
Absolutely.
I'll just add a little note and
we can send a link to the stream.
Yeah, well, you read my mind.
That's definitely easier than writing down what we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add a few comments, but that's what I love about the fact that we do all this stuff publicly. We can always link to it.
Yep. So let's give some more context to these specs. So describe the forks count button. So like this, and also the disabled if the user cannot read code, and I think that was somewhere down here. No, it did it for the forks button, but not. So. This is good.
Nice, nice.
Attributes disabled to be true.
So the first comment I'm making, the wrapper.find was incorrect. It just guessed the random class that it thought would be on the button that wasn't on the button, right?
Yes.
Oh. Don't you hate it when you're waiting for GDK to start and then you think everything's died, so you restart it, and as you press enter, the screen loads up with the
I think
project
that's
list.
a kind of misconception, whatever you want to call it. I think when you kill it, it sort of stops waiting and sends whatever was buffered or something like that. So I want to say rest easy. It wasn't ready
so
at all.
It's trolling you on purpose then.
sort of, yeah.
Because I've been waiting like 5 minutes for Webpack to do something. Nothing loaded up, so I just restarted GDK and yeah, the page popped up.
You failed. Expected false, received undefined. Is it attributes? Disabled.
So I don't think it would be attributes. I think. Can you show me the forks button? It's a prop, isn't it? That we're try props.
So that would be another thing wrong from the AI. No. And it's attributes, it's not props.
Sorry, what did I miss then?
So
attributes, I think, would be standard HTML attributes, whereas I think props would be view props, but I could be wrong.
No, because href is also used an attribute, and this code coverage button is, oh boy, this data test ID. And wow, this is different. Remember to use props. So I guess you're right. But then why is it undefined?
I added our feedback now, so I'm back in the land of the living.
Perfect.
If we can shape the AI better, then I'm all for it, you know.
Yep.
This is definitely no secret, but we started using what's called a community platform, I think, called Common Room fairly recently. Allows us to pull kind of data from GitLab and Discord and Reddit and Twitter, etc., etc. And you'll be glad to know, Marco, you are currently number 4 for some reason. It randomly says over the last 12 weeks.
Oh, really?
But in terms of your level of activity, yeah, you are a pioneer, apparently, amongst other things. I can try and find you if you want, Andrew.
I'll be like second from the bottom, I imagine.
What's that? I'm interested to know if you've got a swanky title or not.
Barely alive. Is that title?
I can't see what number. You're a pioneer as well, to be fair, an advanced contributor at the moment. Whether that title changes when we change our bracket shortly, I don't know. But
where are you, Lee?
Well, I'm top, but I don't really count because I'm a team member.
Okay, so disabled is a prop, href is an attribute. But this is not. Oh, did this work? No, it's not working. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is working attributes.
Yeah.
But it's, I think there's an error.
Wait a minute. How are you finding the forks? I don't know if that works or not.
Yeah, it is working. It's just that the test is working because I'm passing can read code false. We're expecting the button to be disabled, but it's not disabled. But that's because
you're not actually passing.
I'm passing.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Can read code. Yeah, this is great. Like, can read code.
I'm concerned. I could be wrong, but that are you checking props or attributes? Remind me.
For the disabled, that's a prop.
Okay, okay, so that should be right. I was worried that if you were checking attributes that there was an attribute that you hadn't explicitly set that would always be false, if that makes sense. But I guess that's not the case.
No, also because I did check with the debugger and had a look at the props and the attributes, and disabled is a prop.
Yeah.
Href is an attribute.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I wonder if there's something wrong with my injection. Nope. Yeah, that's something wrong with my injection. So why this is not working?
Can you show me where's your mount?
Oh. That's why. Pretty sure.
Yes. But you didn't change the false back to what's it? Or did you? Did you change it back to true? In the default, I guess you did.
Yes, I did.
Cool. I missed that. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, this button is working properly. Now we have the other button. Describe. Force button. Oh, I will be right back. Just a couple of seconds.
No worries. That's a cue for me to get a snack.
I was just going to say, is Common Room publicly available then, or is it
some
secret source stuff?
It's not an open source platform as far as I know, and it's like there's nothing available to how would I explain it? Like the members that are on there as opposed to the team members that are managing the platform. So it's just for like the marketing team, if that's the right term, to be able to ideally identify and recognize what we're hopefully eventually going to start classing as contributors. You know, at the moment we're a bit narrow-minded. Is that a fair phrase? And it's like, oh, you're contributing code, therefore you're a contributor. But we want to be able to say you're contributing answers to questions on Discord, you're contributing by running events on meetup.com, you're contributing by, so that's sort of one of the million ways that I guess we want to be able to use the platform. But there's nothing
that makes sense.
that I'm aware of. I mean, I love the idea that there would be like a public, a bit like where we've got like Bitergia and tools like that, where you could actually go in and see this information. Like maybe we can somehow pull a feed out and publicize it. I'm sure the intention at some point is to do something like that, but I know that we've been that unification plan that you've probably had visibility of talks about like trying to find some vaguely intelligent way to I don't know, score. I don't like that term exactly, but yeah, you know what I'm saying, to sort of say like, okay, a merge request is worth 10 points, a closed merge request is worth 1 point, a raised issue is worth 1 point, a raised issue that leads to a merge request is worth 2 points.
So did you say something to me, because I totally forgot to unmute you?
No.
Okay.
Just trying to explain
talking about the Common Room.
Imagination. I don't know. An algorithm.
Oh, that makes sense.
As I was saying to Marco at the beginning, it's hard enough coming up with something reasonably simple that I've kind of been tasked with to try and come up with some brackets for our contributor levels that we're starting with, purely based on merge requests. And you know, we started with some number and then changed it and then changed it again, and then the name of each level, we just these things that should be easy, writing the code's the easy part, like naming it and making the decisions is the hard bit.
It really is. Naming anything is hard.
You should know you got 3 kids, right, Andrew?
3? Oh, and only the 2.
Oh, sorry.
I was asking one of them the other day if they like their name or if we should have given them a different name. It's kind of amusing how attached you get to something that you had no choice over. It's like, would you like a different name? No. That's my name. Never change it. What's the correct localization function to use?
In Vue or
in a Vue component.
So
I'm importing sprintf at the moment, but that's not the right one. Is it s underscore or underscore or?
It depends if you want to scope the localization or not. So I don't know if we've got any awesome advice in the docs, the style guide, about when you should scope and when you shouldn't scope. But in certain scenarios, like wordage in different languages, it helps to understand the context. In other scenarios, I don't think it does. So I think we lean quite heavily on scoped internationalization, and that would be the S prefixed one. And then when you do the string, you need to make sure that you put the kind of namespace, the context at the beginning, and then a pipe, and then the string to translate.
Yeah, I was just checking the pot file.
Yeah.
GitLab pot to see if the string was already in there, to see if it has been scoped or not. And
what was the string out of interest?
Star.
Just star. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Star is in there, but unstar isn't.
That is,
and it's used by the same thing.
Interesting. I would probably scope that, because I feel like maybe in some language that like star as a verb and star as a sort of, I don't know what you call it, like a noun, and the other, the context might be important there.
Yes, in Italian, star is not a verb. It's a thing, like a star in the sky. So star and unstar doesn't mean anything in Italian.
Would you translate it as maybe like favorite, or would you just keep it as an English?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know.
It's really awesome to be able to have that conversation with someone who has context.
Right, that's that. So now I need to import the GraphQL. How do I do that?
So I'd love to know, maybe 2 conversations is, so we do have the option to enable multiple participants sharing simultaneously.
Yes.
One time I would like to try.
Just completely confuse everyone.
Absolutely.
I think that's how you do it.
By the way, I'm just tweaking the already provided specs to actually work, and then I'm trying to see if they work.
If they cover all the bases, etc., or?
Yes, they do. I think they actually
okay, cool.
All the cases that we want.
I don't know if it's my end, but I'm getting slightly weird, like audio distortion from you at the moment, Marco.
I don't know. I do have some issues with the internet sometimes.
Does it sound okay to you, Andrew?
Right to me. Yeah, okay. Sounds fine.
I might just drop out and back on then quickly.
Where are these mutations being used? Cache conf. Import. There we go. There is so much copy pasting when you're writing code.
Code or tests or both?
Both.
All of them.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so it's hard, and that's what led me down the slippery, potentially nice slope to kind of trying to create that reusable form component. But you are sometimes in danger of trying to over optimize and over abstract stuff that doesn't, it doesn't actually provide benefits sometimes in the long run.
This Apollo mutate, bunch of stuff. Okay.
Have you managed to call it?
Get in there. Async update notification level. That's something different now. This will be toggle star.
I was going to ask you that actually. So did you had to create the mutation, I presume?
I will be doing at some point.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. I'm just going to call a mutation that doesn't exist.
Okay. I wasn't sure whether you were going to or had a good feel for whether you wanted oh God, is the term immutable, or like whether you want one that you hit toggle and it toggles, or do you want one to star and one to unstar? Or even one mutation that you pass, like a true or a false, as to whether you want to. The toggle one, like, seems like a nice idea, but I don't think it is, if that makes sense, because if somehow they get out of sync, like on your screen, it looks like it's unstarred, maybe because you clicked it twice really quickly and like the UI updated, but the mutation maybe didn't.
Yeah,
then,
true.
you know, I mean, I think explicit would be better. I think a single mutation that you pass in either like true to star something or false to unstar it, and it kind of does a check beforehand or something, might be the best. But don't take my word for that.
No, I think that makes sense. I'll call it toggle star mutation for now. But yeah, I can just create two different mutators.
I think this,
or the same mutator but pass a boolean in, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the specs just found a bug, because when the user can read code, but the user fork URL is empty, the button should be, oh no, this should be enabled, but pointing to the new fork button, to the new fork URL. Yeah, so I think we have to tweak the specs a little bit. They're too generic. Because the specs are testing almost for each injected property.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not, some of those property work together. So
gotcha. Yeah.
So disables the fork button. It's disables the is disabled when the user can't read code. So can read code false.
Okay, how do you spell starred? Starred?
I would do STARRD.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I must have had a brain fart at some point.
Stead.
In the Haml, I've got starred with 2R in the Haml, but then while passing it through to the view component, I dropped it from double R to single R.
Yeah, stead.
Yeah.
These two should work.
So we got
okay. When the user has page object. So can read code and the user port URL is provided. Links to the user to the new fork page, and the user URL fork is not provided.
If all you end up there, I suppose it doesn't really matter in all honesty, but if the only thing you ever vary in the mountain is the injected props, if we can call it that, then you could remove that additional sort of abstraction or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, you're right.
It doesn't really make any odds in all honesty. It's quite nice that you're making it crystal clear that this is an injection that you're passing in. So
yeah, and mainly it's easier to add other stuff if you need that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's harder to go the other way.
Yeah. Links to the new when user is not provided. And okay, so the user access, the right tooltip. So disabled when the user cannot read code, enabled when the user can read code. Then we have disabled if disabled when the user cannot fork any project. And fork is it can fork project? No, can create fork. Cannot create forks. And is disabled when the user cannot fork the project. Right, so I know I'm not really talkative today, but I'm in the zone. So
I think that's fine, Marco. I'm rarely talking on these things.
So is enabled when the user can read. And tooltip is when this is enabled, create new fork. Disabled cannot read code. We don't have any. No, it's create a new fork in that case. When the user cannot create forks, we have this one. And when the user cannot fork the project, we have this one. Okay, and I think we have everything. Come on. No. Title is an attribute.
I click the button and I get an error. I'm making progress.
Well, that's, yeah, presumably because you've passed a non-existing mutation, right?
In that case, it's because I can't spell status. But but yeah, it will be.
So when the user can read code. Okay. So this time the user can read code and has not for the project.
Does module reloading with the Webpack thing work on individual components?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I keep reloading the page, but I'm not sure if I actually have to.
Depends if you've got the incremental Webpack, what's it enabled?
I'm not sure actually.
But one of the easiest things to do is open up the like developer tools in the browser. When you make a change to the view file and hit save, if in the console you see it saying something along the lines of, you know, like updated, component updated, reloading, all up to date or something like that, then it kind of means, yeah, it's all good.
Okay, I'll check next time.
So, Marco, the other thing that I've noticed a few team members do that I don't often, but is quite handy every once in a while, is use the watch. So when you go on, like, just you wouldn't have to keep running the test, if you know what I mean. Just every time you make a change to the spec and save, it will rerun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But in any case, I think we're good. And I think we covered all the different cases.
So I think this is the suggestion I made before with the feature spec. Like, I'm a bit on the fence, but looking at this, maybe we want to use like more of a table syntax, and have like, I think it'd be a lot more readable to see a table of, okay, if you can read code and you have got a fork, and then, you know, the button will be enabled and it will take you to this URL, you know, and so on and so forth. But this is more verbose, and at least you've documented the test cases, and then we just work out whether abstracting it, or whatever you want to call it, to a table based spec is better or not.
Yeah, and this time I think it's also easier to do because we can
every test check in sort of the same couple of prop and attribute almost.
Yes, because we're always working with user fork URL, or user can read code, or can create fork and can fork project. So we have 4 variables and we can create a table with that. I think that's doable. Yeah, that should be fine, but I'm gonna have to call it a day for today. Because
yeah, to be fair, same here. Same here. Appreciate you moving it.
Yeah, so next move is I'm going to push up these changes, and I'll have a look if I can convert these specs to use the table syntax. Maybe tomorrow.
But we're somewhat blocked anyway on the feature spec, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
and you passed that for that's already gone for review, right?
Yeah, that's gone for the first round, and I think that I'm not sure, but I don't think there's going to be any other issues. Or
amazing. Cool. No, that's the, you know, it takes a tiny bit of pressure off, not a lot, but obviously seeing that we got nudged on the release post.
Yeah,
clearly I've got no expectation or no intention on getting anything. I mean, we've missed the cutoff anyway, and that's, like you said, just to get the view conversion, not even taking into consideration the new logic.
Yeah.
The only other thing, maybe like later in the week or next week, we could start thinking about where else. I think there's like the edit button or the web IDE button in other places that we could try and implement that doesn't use the fork modal. Do you remember seeing or me demonstrating that weird sort of notification bar? So maybe we could start looking at that fairly soon, with the hope that we can get the Haml to Vue migration, the improved logic on that, and something else in time for 16.3?
Yes, and I think that should be fairly easy, because once we have the migration to the new logic, to the Vue component, the new logic is fairly easy to implement, because it's actually easier than this, in my opinion, because we have some weird conditions on when the user...
I mean, the only caveat I'd say to that is, again, maybe we start talking before we get to that point about exactly what we think and we want the new behavior. I think we have touched on it, a drop down, but what's the drop down? Is it going to show just the writable forks or all forks, etc.? But let's not go off on that tangent now.
It's worth maybe opening an issue for that if there isn't one already, so we can have some discussion, probably with UX as well.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay,
great stuff. Good to see you, and you, Andrew, and catch you later on.
Yes, thanks everyone.